lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are premiering. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me there. So a massive shout out to Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Hyvel, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As The Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, Dave Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin', Jeranism, Kirsten Smith, Life is Short, Matt, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Reinhardt, Renee, Sally Ballis, Sam Hine, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, and the FlatEarthChannel.com, Tina Baker, and Tom Hawkins. Massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now, we do have a couple of people in Google. I'll say hello to Flatzoid in just a moment, but I've started the show coincidentally just as a couple of guests did join the Discord and G Plus servers, but I wanted to do a couple of shout outs to a few YouTubers. Why not? I may as well take this opportunity to do exactly what I choose, as it's my show. Why not? So first and foremost, I want to shout out the sort of debate regulars who run shows regularly, which is to say Arwin, who's recording or broadcasting live as I record this over on ARWIJN channel Arwin, and that's the Flat Earth Early Bird, which goes out prior to the Flat Earth Debate live on the weekdays and indeed at the weekend. So very hard-working man that he is, typically producing quite a lot of content. So Arwin, and then next up we've got Sleeping Warrior, who again seems to sporadically broadcast and produce videos. So Sleeping Warrior channel, Ranty Flat Earth channel. So I'll shout out all of the sort of main contributors. Quantum Eraser also puts on shows every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. So those are the sort of headline acts of this channel and the main protagonists, if you will. However, there's a couple of others who, one of which I've shouted out prior to this, which is Martin Liedtke, Liedtke, Martin Liedtke, otherwise known as Flat Earth British. So check out Martin Liedtke's channel. He recently ran into a few woes. I did promote him and do a few shout outs to him about a month ago, but he's now reasonably established with a couple of thousand subscribers, unlike JLB or John Le Bon, who I like a lot and enjoy his content. Don't necessarily always agree with him, as is the case with most people who watch JLB, but is extremely skeptical of most things and his videos are extremely insightful. Again, he had his channel removed on account of the fact I think he mentioned something about a school shooting which he shouldn't have done, and therefore lost his channel, which is very unfortunate, although he wasn't at all bitter about it on his return. So he's reproducing some of his old material along with new material which he's shouting out, and he's got a website which is JLB, I think it's johnlebon.com. But yeah, go and check that out as well. He is predominantly funded by the people who actually subscribe to his channel. So yeah, check out johnlebon.com, and again, if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley premiering stream, I will put a link to Arwin, Ranty Flat Earth, Quantum Eraser, Sleeping Warrior, Martin Liedtke and John Le Bon. So you can have links to all of those channels. If I remember, I'll stick them in the info box as well. So I think it's probably about time I raise the mic on some of the people who've been hanging around while I plug my mates. Not that the JLB is one of my mates, I just like him as a YouTuber, but certainly the main protagonist I mentioned are definitely friends of mine in every respect. So hello, first and foremost, Flatzoid, how are you doing?
Hello, hello. I think you forgot Adam Meakin.
Adam Meakin, yeah, of course. So I was only just arranging stuff with him for his scheduling as well, damn. So he also, Iron Realm Media, IRM or Iron Realm Media, who typically have their Have No Sphere show on a Friday, and we're scheduling together so that we're not stepping on each other's toes, hopefully, or stepping on each other's toes less and less as time goes on. But yeah, he has a show on Friday night at 10:30 UK time. So be here or be Sphere for the Have No Sphere show on Iron Realm Media. And it's not just Adam. There's obviously there's Walt as well that does it, and Zach obviously turns up as well. There's a whole bunch of people that do that particular channel, and there's obviously guests that turn up as well. So yeah, yeah, really good, well-rehearsed, well-planned show. They have a meeting prior to all of their shows, unlike me, who just starts. So yeah, an actual laid out proper show is Iron Realm Media. And I believe he's been helping, he has definitely helped Quantum Eraser already, who I've mentioned, but Arwin has just had an overhaul courtesy of Adam Meakin of Iron Realm Media. So hopefully his channel will be looking a bit more shiny. Hey, Dances with Wolves and Highlander, very good to have you both.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir Nathan Oakley, greetings.
Greetings. Hello. So subscribe today to all of those channels. As I say, I will, if I remember, put links in the info box, but I'll definitely spam links to their channels if I'm watching this later on this evening with you, the audience. About 15 minutes before we go live, if you want to get coffees and things. Very little pressure on a weekday to actually chit-chat. The second channel audience tends to be that much more forgiving about a bit of dead air during the pre-show. Whereas when it goes out, when I do the pre-show and after-show on a Thursday or Friday, I know that the recorded show is going to go out on the main channel over the weekend, and I'm really keen to keep the conversation going, whereas at the moment I'm like, yeah, get yourself a coffee. Don't worry about dead air. I'll be in the chat anyway, keeping them amused. Them being you, the audience, most importantly, of course.
Yeah, keep unmuted. We want to hear that coffee grinder.
I've sorted that already. I've changed my routine a little bit because I end up getting everything together and then leaving everything set up to go and make coffee, whereas now I do it beforehand. So, hey, Quantum Eraser.
First.
I was just plugging your
Hey,
show.
John.
You were plugging me.
I was plugging, well, not plugging you personally, plugging your show.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Pleasure.
Do I need to go get my warrior bottles?
Oh, please don't. There's a word in the last show, Quantum Eraser, that you used, and it was a word that when it first came up, I admitted that I couldn't remember. I didn't know the meaning of the word, and then when I looked it up, but then you used it again for my feeling uncomfortable discussing DITRH because he's a mate.
Oh, yeah, recuse.
Recused. Okay, I've forgotten what it means.
Yeah. They use the term like when judges have a conflict of interest. They have a bias towards any result, or they have a relationship with somebody in the trial. Then they use the word recuse to remove themselves from the situation
I see.
because they're biased. Yeah.
So, for the sake of argument, the judge is judging over a case in which one of the members of the golf club he's part of is actually on trial, and he goes, well,
Yes.
This is a conflict of interest. I'm going to recuse myself of this obligation.
Yes,
I see.
exactly.
I did look it up at the time. I just couldn't remember off the top of my head. Yes, it's legally related from memory. Well,
Yes, but then I have the capacity to take that concept and stretch it out.
No, I totally get that. The example was contextualised around law, but it doesn't mean that it's not colloquially useful in this instance. It's correct. It's
Exactly. Exactly. It's the same concept. Yep. How about hypostatization?
Hypothesization. Not bad. It's a hard one.
It's good, man. We all have those words, right?
Well, just for anyone watching, hypothesization is the fallacy of misplaced concreteness, otherwise known as a reification fallacy. Making something that is not real or not concrete into something that is real. So taking the abstract, for example, the bending of conceptual mediums, and then applying them to an actual force that you would assert is real, that's a reification fallacy, otherwise known as hypothesization, the fallacy of misplaced concretedness. Not even a difficult word.
That is a difficult word to say. The one for the ballers, by far, there's not even one close, is spectroscopy.
Spectroscopy?
You
I don't-
should listen to these clowns try and say this word. I got a whole list of what they just, and ironically, somebody was listening to Toady yesterday and he bumbled it up. It was hilarious, man. But yeah. Their Huckleberry spectroscopy.
I've never had any
Spectroscopy.
struggle. Go on,
Oh,
dancers.
sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Spectroscopy is that the study of rainbows.
Sort of.
No, I'm talking about
It
just
is
saying
it-
the word.
The study of rainbows. Let me type it on
No,
chat.
it's not no. It's not the study of rainbows. No. Spectroscopy is the study of light and its interaction with matter. Essentially, you can get a little bit more in depth, but basically that's what it is.
There's two fields. What do you call them? That
Say again?
terrestrial and celestial spectroscopy.
Yeah, they don't even know what spectroscopy is. Number one, they just use the word. But yeah, there's a mammoth flaming abyss difference between the two. I mean, it's so stupid. I can't believe it that I would even have to bring it up. But yeah, I'm gonna bring it up. It's gonna be good, man. Wait. I haven't put it all together yet. I'm just brainstorming at this point. But in a couple weeks, I'll hook it up.
The plug for your show won't be relevant, so I'll have to do it again on the live show. You specifically, just because you've got a show tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to do the natural experiments and nature. Because the last show we had some technical difficulties with it, and I want to do it again anyway because I think it's a good subject. It's natural experiments, observational, and field studies, and what is natural. And then we're going to take a little shot at the astronomer Cosray knucklehead Charlie.
Yeah.
I'm going to toe tag him officially. You know what? I got a couple questions besides that. Before you drop today, I got a couple quick questions for you. Shop questions.
No worries.
I don't want to ruin,
No, it's fine. We haven't even started yet. So
yeah, with shop questions.
No problem.
Hey, what are you doing this afternoon? You going to be there again?
Got quite a lot of work to do. The website's changed its host in the last couple of weeks, and I actually arranged with William to sort it out on, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, but one of my kids was screaming and teething, and I couldn't do it, unfortunately. You feel really bad when you actually arrange to do something with someone and then let them down. But there we go.
Oh, right.
So I had intended to see if I can get hold of him. I haven't arranged it with him yet, so if I can get hold of him, my webmaster, for anyone listening, I'll get hold of him and hopefully learn or relearn how to actually continue uploading the videos to the website, because I've stopped at I think I stopped at 9:50 when the website changed host.
Oh, you got a few to upload, huh?
Yeah, I just don't know how to do it anymore because it's a new host.
Right. What number are we on now?
989, I believe.
989. Interesting. Anything special for the 1,000th one?
I haven't got anything planned particularly special. It's just a number, right? I'm just pleased that we're here, and although it's not around the 1,000, it's now 10 shows prior or a week and a half prior. The around the 1,000th show time, there's people in the comments making it clear that they're demolishing fundies being religious globe worshipping zealots in this example, with the arguments that they hear here.
It works.
That works for me. That's good. So just being here discussing these subjects, that's good enough for me. I'm very happy doing the show, and I don't see the need to make any drastic alterations. I had considered making maybe a minor change and having a one-on-one in the middle of the show, which I stepped back from. On the other hand, I had a think about it. It's like, well, that does happen naturally, and trying to force it to happen isn't necessarily going to mean it will. So why bother having a dedicated section to it? you know. But in the same vein, I thought, well, from going forward, if there are debates that sort of start up, I will take more of a back seat. And I've said that a couple of times before, and I have done it a couple of times before. But it depends where you are in the debate, right? If you're on a winner, then you're like, yeah, okay, I'll step back at this point a bit more. If you're fighting for Coriolis, then, you know, I say fighting for Coriolis, and I mean that for anyone who's like, fighting for Coriolis, yeah, Coriolis is real, there just isn't any on Earth. Just in case anyone's wondering why I'm fighting for Coriolis, because the irony of ironies is that the globeheads who come here fight against it. But my point being that when those sorts of circumstances befall us, I'm not interested in taking a step back. I want everyone to understand the argument.
Well, no one can articulate it better than you.
Sitting here for 1,000 shows. Anybody could if they'd sat here for 1,000 shows.
Yeah, and I like the layout. I mean, at the moment, you've got good control of the show, so I wouldn't really change anything.
No,
me neither.
I'm quite happy with it. So yeah, 1,000th show will come around and it'll be like, hey, 1,000 shows, isn't that amazing? Because it is. But I won't do anything different. It'll just be fire up the 1,000th show and say, great, isn't it good we've got this far? Because there has been.
No, I wasn't saying anything different. I was saying, you know, pomp and circumstance and such.
Yeah, not really. No, I haven't got any pomp and circumstance planned for the 1,000th show. If that is your question, yes. No, I haven't got anything planned.
We'll just make you a meme with the party hat on or something.
Just pride more than anything else. Because there's been many an instance where, by whatever means, people have tried to stop the show being in existence in various different ways. And there was a period where they succeeded. And it was a struggle to get the show back on the road, given that I had about 19 copyright strikes. You know, I'm not even joking. So there's been periods where it's been very, very difficult to keep the show running at all. But I've managed it, and that's, you know, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I think give credit where it's due. You're working really hard on the channel and you deserve it.
Well, it's because of that I thought I sort of had a bit of empathy for the people who've been a bit screwed over recently. So I did a shout out to all the regulars. So you, Ranty, Arwin, Sleeping Warrior, Adam Meakin, but also, close your ears, Quantum Eraser, John LeBon and Martin Leaker, Flat Earth British. And both of them have had their channels taken away from them for different reasons. Martin had his swindled out of him by a con man who essentially asked for his password with a little bit of social engineering and weaseled Martin into giving it him, subsequently losing him a channel with almost, 20,000 plus subscribers. A lot of subscribers. I think it was nearly 30,000 people on that channel. But that's now in the hands of someone else uploading a load of Jap crap. So that's what's going on that channel. And JLB just had his wiped out. Just went completely. Now, a lot of people...
Why?
Covered... All he said on his recent video was that he covered a school shooting. He knew he shouldn't, but he did it anyway. Those were his pretty much exact words. Certain hoaxes that you're just not allowed to cover. And if you do, they'll take your channel off you.
Wow, that's some extreme censorship. YouTube, isn't that an American-based company?
Yeah, Google.
I don't play censorship.
You don't talk speculative. You know, I can't think of the term off the top of my head. You're not doing what JLB does. Quite the contrary. Yeah. You're talking about. Not that John doesn't talk about things that are empirical. You know, he's more talking about the history hoax and searching out primary source information rather than actual. You know, he looks at scientific studies and he'll skirt around the facts that we skirt around when we're being empirical in our descriptions of why they don't or do mean what they say when it comes to, in quotes, air quotes, science. So, you know, JLB is covering a lot of subjects, but I like his level of skepticism. You know, he's very, very skeptical about everything, and I like that. So I think he's definitely worthy of promoting, especially as he's now got 400 subs and he had about 7,000 or 8,000.
Yeah, but it's still censorship, though. That's the problem I have with it. I mean, I understand the subject matter is a bit sensitive, but it's still, when it gets down to it, it's still censorship, right?
Absolutely.
I don't entertain that. I don't suffer it at all.
It's censorship,
right?
But it's like I almost don't blame Google on account of the fact that it's they're almost saying when you read the guidelines, don't mess with mainstream narratives as they're being conjured. Leave them alone.
Yeah, that's horse shit. Sorry.
No, that's kind of what they're saying, though. You know, mainstream narratives of the time, you're not allowed to mess with them. If you do, we'll shut you down.
Yeah, well, I was in the military, like I said, for 20 years. That's one of the things I stood for. That's one of the things I stood against. Right? So I don't appreciate it at all. In fact, it pisses me off. Now, depending on the subject matter, I mean, there's a limit that you can go to. I understand that. I'm not a friggin', mouth-breathing knuckle dragger, but, mainstream topics, those are fair game. Period. End of story.
It just seems like the news can discuss them, detail what they want to detail about them in their way, and we're not.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut. No, live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Flatsoid, Quantum Eraser, and I think that's pretty much it in G+. Very good to have you both.
Hey, 10th is here.
Oh, hey, 10th. Your icon's never, ever visible right at the beginning.
Good afternoon, hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
And hello to everyone in Discord. Hopefully I've got some of you at least off mute.
Off moot.
Off mute?
Good afternoon.
Yeah, you're all off mute now. Hello, Discord server. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from Rhode Island.
Still flat South Africa.
Each time you say that, 10th is in a different spot.
I know. He's all over the world, isn't he? About axial rotation of the Earth-based variety.
No, Earth-based Coriolis.
Where? In Albuquerque?
About scientific evidence of gravity? Any of that floating about?
No, gravity's just a made-up term.
Yeah, it's just
Doesn't-
concept.
No, it's not even a concept. It's just some made-up word.
Part of it's true, though.
Oh, pray tell.
Imagine a time.
It's falling apart.
Imagine a time when if we could actually manipulate it, though.
Manipulate time?
Who, we
Manipulate
got
what?
Doc Brown on the panel.
1.21 gigawatts.
Now, gigawatts.
Yeah, that was a
I knew that was
mispronunciation given to the producer that just got passed down to the cast.
We got to reverse Timmy Clown fallacy.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, it's a light in the sky.
Not in Zimbabwe.
You telling me there's no sun in Zimbabwe? I'm pretty sure that's not the case. Hey, Arwin.
Yeah, we covered the radio astronomy stuff allegedly with the distance. So I guess the next part is the spectroscopy, which QE said he's going to cover with regards to the sun.
Oh, sure. Yeah, there's and all obviously
well-
come into it.
Well, yeah, you have radio spectroscopy, but that we're not going to deal with that. We're gonna just go with the sun. So
Yeah, I looked up black body. I won't give the game away.
you looked up black body radiation.
Yeah, because you wouldn't tell me what it was yesterday. So I thought, well, sod it, I'll look it up.
Did I refuse to tell you what it was?
No, part of your presentation, you said there's nothing to see here. Moving on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you're going to run across Kirchhoff's law, right? You run across that?
I think it was mentioned. I didn't actually click on that particular link.
Yeah. It's a train wreck.
You also,
The formula debunks itself, which is so funny. I don't know if I'm going to get deep into that. It looked like I was just going to do a general presentation, but that never works out, man. It just doesn't work out, you know. So I thought about it yesterday. I said, no, I'm probably going to have to start from the beginning. I'm not going to do the history and stuff like that. It just takes too long. So I'm going to try to keep it streamlined, but it's difficult.
I want to segue into Maxwell's demon. So, any evidence of gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
No, still waiting for demonstration otherwise, though.
Nope.
Any comments in Discord server before we get into Maxwell's demon?
No comment.
No? Is that a no, Darren?
Yes, I'll be a no.
So, yesterday, Paul had a visual representation of a chamber with a pump and a heat/ice cooling source underneath it. Lid on top, and the lid blew off. And I don't know if it was relevant that the lid had blown off when you said what you said, but you said, no, this isn't entropy increase. That's Maxwell's demon.
No, I was just making a joke.
Yeah, I realise, but I didn't. That's why I didn't highlight it at the time when it was just a gag. But there may be people out there that have no idea what Maxwell's demon is. This would you call it a thought experiment?
Yes.
So, can you tell us what Maxwell's demon is, please?
I wasn't prepared for this.
Doesn't he have a
Early in
silver
the
hammer?
morning.
Oh, there's a gag coming. I knew it. I knew as soon as I asked him to start detailing it, a gag would come from somewhere. Go on, 10th man. Get it all out.
What? Sorry?
I said, doesn't he have a silver hammer?
A silver Hemi?
Yeah. It's an old Beatles song.
Okay. Bit before my time. Sorry.
Maxwell, in brief, it was a quite feeble and absurd attempt to disprove the second law of thermodynamics. It's really stupid. The second law of the second law of thermodynamics is a natural law. As soon as you invoke any intelligence anywhere near it, then it train wrecks your whole appeal. So, in Maxwell's demon, you have an intelligent agent opening and closing friggin' sides of the box, allowing certain particles through and other particles not, basically, essentially. So, like I said, as soon as you invoke intelligence into a natural law, it's nonsensical. I don't even know how it even got airtime. So, it's train wreck. Stupid.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Nope. Just 12 kilometers deep.
Not in Greenbow, Alabama.
Not in Tunisia. What about the R value itself? Earth radius.
Presupposed.
The Arabin and here.
Not in Saskatchewan.
Would that be a radius of a sphere or a radius of a disk or something else?
Yeah,
Frisbee.
I intentionally leave that out so that not you, but a fundy can kind of detail how they acquire the flat circle and then presuppose it's spherical by way of radius.
Okay,
Well-
gotcha.
Would a spatial loop also count as a radius?
What the hell is a spatial loop?
Remember, like they conceptualized wormholes, the piece of paper putting the pencil in.
Right, like the Matrix train tunnel or a 2D side scroller on a Nintendo. You go out one side and come in the other.
You could consider that as a radius if you go with the imagining of the direct connection being a circle.
So bottom line, it's all just assumption.
Sorry, I'm making things needlessly complicated.
That's okay, Arwin. That concludes the housekeeping. So I'll get it in early. Be here or be sphere on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel, 8 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. You want to tell us what you're covering, QE?
Yes, we're going to go back over natural experiments along with field studies and observational studies. I did this presentation a few weeks ago, but I had some technical difficulties with the computer, and it seems that I've solved that issue. So we're going to go back over that, drop anchor around what is natural, what does natural mean, and toe tag chat troll astronomer, Charlie Cosray. Be there, be sphere.
Be here or be sphere on the Quantum Eraser channel, 8 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. Central Standard. That's tonight, Tuesday, the 15th. Yeah, 15th. You got your plug in the pre-show, Arwin.
Me?
I was actually watching you today for a change.
Yeah, well, it's always good to watch my show, of course, the Flat Earth Early Bird Show, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time every day. What is that? Between 6 and 10 US time. Very early. And midnight in Australia and New Zealand. So every day, come and watch it on my channel, Arwin, RWIJN.
Be here
Thanks
or
for
be
the plug.
sphere. So please share the show, which is precisely why I've gone quiet, because that's exactly what I'm doing right now. Now. So has the Discord server just filled up with people that aren't chatting?
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Chocolate, sorry, I didn't see you there.
It's all good.
Good job.
What's up?
Trolling us on the last couple of videos, coincidentally, Chocolate, when it's been appropriate to do so. So, I think it was when we were talking about Jupiter. Your interruptions consisted of, when do we do calculations?
Yeah. I remember I heard that yesterday. I was like, what the hell? That was a silly move. I want to calculate.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. You've also got Anthony, who's decided to slip into character just at the right moment. So at the beginning, not at a crucial moment, but at the beginning of one of Quantum Eraser's explanations for why natural experiments aren't experiments, destroying Anthony's claim to be point. And he starts rumpusing him, and I'm like, no rumpusing, please, Anthony. Because, you know, I just thought he was, as is often the case, just a bit too much into character. You know, he knows his character's position's being shattered, so he's got a rumpus in character, right? But he wasn't. He didn't intentionally done it to point out that that's where it typically would happen if you're dealing with a fundy. So it's like this nice little neat package of the claim that Jupiter is a gas giant in a vacuum being debunked by way of gas law. And you've got the assertions that you've got a physical interaction between these bodies that have been observed. I don't know how many years it was by Paul. He's not here at the moment, but he actually observed this. and those assertions being put through the scientific method, obviously failing to get past the first step. So all of that was like packaged up nicely to say, look, their claim of a sky vacuum with a gas giant having things physically interact and leave scars in weather patterns is complete nonsense. Here's how it gets demolished, along with a hint at what the fundies do when they come to obfuscate these demolitions of their claims. So it was a nice little package, but that was the show. Like I said, I think it was called something like Space Planet Jupiter Debunked by Science. And in between that, you've got Chocolate going, where do I calculate? Where's the maths? Just perfect.
We need the math. Yep.
And the other one was Timmy Clown. So Jose J.G. Gonzalez has come into the show, started recording without telling anybody, and then later played it on his show, making it seem like he's arranged a debate with me, which he hadn't, which he then played on his show with my Hangout link playing to his audience. So Timmy is obviously seeing this and just can't resist writing it down by hand and joining the show. So that's what he's done. Not that he couldn't just join by Discord, he could have done that anyway, but, you know, fair enough, whatever. So he joins the panel, which is great, because obviously we start taking apart some of his old assertions, some of his old observations. Just fantastic to have people like Timmy return just to get absolutely demolished, especially as Coriolis effect comes up. He starts asserting that the Earth's rotating underneath his magnum.
Right.
Yeah, with his Coriolis app on his phone.
Right. Great stuff. Been a good few days. Oh, and Zanuck, lest I forget. Zanuck debunking space altogether with gas law. PVNRT. What's the gas law? I'll kick you out. PVNRT. What's V?
Hilarious, man.
It's been a good few shows.
Yeah, and then he said the gas was the volume, and you said, no, it's the container. He goes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Because presumably, you know, he's not to lie too much, because he'll look really stupid.
Oh, it's way too late for that.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, somebody's trying to talk and I've got him on mute. Sorry. Practice tactic. Is that right? Tiny lettering.
Hello.
Hello. Good to have you.
Hey, how's it going? So you guys can hear me right now?
Yeah, coming through loud and clear.
All right, cool. So yeah, I tried to get on here to speak to you guys. Like, I think it was like last week or something. But I think that the Discord, it wasn't available for, I guess, like people that's not on the panel or people that try to talk. I guess it's like a defense mechanism that you guys have to make sure that you can eliminate trolls and stuff like that, which is understandable. But
no, it's probably just full. So it can fit. You can join until it's full. Basically, anybody can join.
Okay. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here to. I know this is like a flat Earth debate or whatever, and I wanted to find out more about it. Because you know, I have people on my job and stuff, pretty much telling me about this, and at first I thought it was preposterous, and I'm like, how can you have people that believe the Earth is flat? And one of the things that this one guy on my job, he brought up, he was talking about gravity and how it doesn't exist. And I told him, I said, yo, bro, just walk off of a cliff and you will definitely know that it exists, because you will fall down and you will hit the ground and, you know, you will die. And he proceeded to tell me something about like density or something like that. But it sounded weird to me. But I just wanted to see if I could get an explanation on you know, what you guys say about it, because he referred me to you guys, say you guys like the experts or something.
Sure. Who wants to take this? Nobody.
Yeah, I'll take it if Riley's not there.
Yeah, you're perfect. Go ahead, Ari.
All right. Okay. So yes, have you heard anything about relative density before your that time, or you don't know anything about it?
No, well, I know what density is. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but when, like, from my knowledge, density is basically how heavy an object is, or something. Is that pretty much what that is?
Almost,
Like, for instance,
almost.
okay,
Right.
you
So
can
what
explain
the
it to me.
density?
I don't want to sound
I'll
crazy.
explain it. What the density of material is its volumetric mass. It's how much weight or mass there is to a specific volume of the material. And the ratio between the volume and the mass is what gives it its density. And yeah, materials can be changed in their density, and this has consequences when that happens. So what happens is that if you mix up materials of different densities that are fluid, that means they can be gas or a liquid, but not a solid object, then they will rearrange themselves eventually when left to their own device to different density layers, because what density materials do is they seek its relative density equilibrium point within the spectrum of all things it is in. So that in its medium, basically. So if you
Hold on, Owen. Just see how well he's following along. What's your name again? The text on my Discord's so small. What's your name?
My actual name is Brandon, but on here it says Prince Tactic. That's like my gamer name or whatever. But yeah, you can just call me Tactic.
Tactic, perfect. So far, the most important detail that Arwen's got to is equilibrium. Do you follow along so far?
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand it correctly, based off of how he explained it, when he says equilibrium, okay, so let's say if I get a rock, right, and I drop that off of a tall building. Okay, so being that that rock is dense, according to what he's saying, that would mean that the air around it is less dense and the rock is more dense, and that's why it falls.
Exactly.
And it reaches equilibrium.
Correct. Do you want
It's equilibrium.
Perfect.
The foundation, the ground, or something. Or?
Perfect. So far, so
almost.
Hold on. Yeah. So far, so good. Do you want to continue with your explanation, Arwen? There's a bit more, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to expand a little bit upon his explanation. He was correct up until the point that he said at the ground it finds its equilibrium. Well, technically that's not entirely correct, because a rock resting on the ground, it's a solid object, it's not gonna, like a fluid, spread around. The rock is gonna be, as it's resting on the ground, still surrounded by air, and that means it's not at equilibrium with its surrounding, and then it's gonna translate that disequilibrium into pressure locally towards where its equilibrium point would be, and that's downward.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me.
It always depends on the material.
Hold on, Owen. He's got a question.
The object is in.
Hold on, just 1 second. Hold on, Owen. What was your question, Tactic? Go ahead.
Okay, so all right, so this is my question. What if we put water into play? How does that equilibrium work with that? Like, okay, so if I throw a rock in the ocean or a lake or whatever, just any body of water.
Okay.
That won't sink. How does that play into that? I haven't really put much thought into it because my mind is kind of blown right now.
Don't worry about it. That's fine. That's fine. Generally speaking, most people are under the impression that you drop something and it falls because a force has pulled it to the ground, when in reality, when you're on the top of the cliff, you're in, Aaron hasn't said it yet, but fall arrest. So the ground beneath you is stopping you from going down, but you're not in equilibrium. Likewise, if you pick up a ball and drop it, you've taken it out of equilibrium and then dropped it. But the gravity equation starts from the point that you are in the air holding the ball. So jump off a cliff, well, you're already up high enough to go down because you're more dense than the air around you.
Okay.
Likewise, just one last point. Likewise, things go the other direction. So if you have a helium balloon, it'll go up when you let it go, as opposed to go down.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So
also,
if you put helium inside of a balloon, right, it will go up due to the. I know helium is lighter than the air, so is that basically what you're saying? Is that the helium trying to reach its point of equilibrium? The reason why it's going up?
Yes. So yes, if you just substitute less light with less dense, less dense than the air. So because the helium is less dense, it's trying to reach equilibrium, but equilibrium for the balloon is up because it's less dense than the air.
Right.
Equilibrium for you is, if in fall arrest, i.e. at the top of a cliff, equilibrium for you is down.
Right.
Yes,
Yo,
but as a human being, if I may expand a bit.
Hold on, Chocolate. Hold on, everyone, hold on. Go ahead, Arwin. Just hold on 1 second.
If I may expand for a bit, if you are a human being and you have your lungs full with air, and you go and sit on a very salty piece of water or go into it, you're going to float pretty much to the top of it, because combined with the air and the density of your blood and your flesh and your bones, combine it all together, is going to be just slightly less dense than that very packed, salty, thick water. So that's why you're going to then, go to the top. Unless you carry a rock with you that is like pretty dense, pretty heavy, then if you hold on to it, your combined density, because you're holding it, you're basically one single object. Your combined density is then gonna pull you down beneath the thick water anyway.
Facts. That's understandable. Okay, I get it. Okay. It's just it's messing me up a little bit. So so basically, according to you guys, you're telling me that this whole gravity thing, right? According to my knowledge and what I was taught, gravity is a pulling force that is originated from the center of the earth, and it's holding us in, basically just keeping us from being flung off of the spinning earth. That's my, simplified summed up version of what I think gravity is. So you guys saying that doesn't exist, right?
No, now just I'm taking off my flat earth cap and putting on my globe head. Can you pop yourself on mute, Tactic? It's just causing a bit of feedback. So with my globe head hat on to explain their rhetoric, which you're reciting incorrectly, I would say no, gravity is not a force. So the old gravity, 100 plus years old, has been superseded by new gravity. Old gravity would be what we call Cavendish / Reverend John Mitchell gravity. I won't even utter the name that you'll know it by. It's not even important. But the new replacement is Einsteinian gravity. Now, Einsteinian gravity is the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time. Now, that should, if it doesn't already, ring alarm bells, because conceptual mediums...
I have heard that before.
Sure.
Yeah, I heard that before. Sorry, yeah, I guess I said it wrong.
No, it's okay. The crucial detail being that the current version of gravity is two things that are important to you. Number one, it's not a force. Number two, it's the bending of a concept. Now, if you're unfamiliar with concepts, you can't bend them. They're not physical. Same as you can't bend freedom. It's a concept. But gravity in its current incarnation is a concept being bent, giving rise to a not actual force. That's what gravity is currently. So this pulling to the center, no, that's not what it is. It's not a force.
Okay, got you. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I tell you what, bro. Like you guys, I'm gonna have to stay posted to learn a little more about this whole thing because it's kind of blowing my mind right now.
I totally
No
get it.
cap. I gotta be
It
honest.
blew my mind a year ago as well. So.
And it's not spinning either.
Yeah, we're not moving either.
Oh, by the way, Nathan, if I may, I'd like to expand just a little about the relative density theory versus gravity, just a little, because there's so many claims about gravity, and I'd like to set them all straight. Or most of them.
Be my guest.
All right. So one of the things that ballers claim that prove gravity is an acceleration rate within a vacuum chamber. They say, look, because of this, that means that there is a force being applied externally, causing the displacement of the object. According to Newtonian mechanics, there's a force present that is doing that. Well, the relative density theory also explains it, but with better actually provable scientific foundations. Because, an object that is surrounded by a medium that is like, almost nothing in relation to it, it will indeed accelerate. And there's the thing. What causes the acceleration if not gravity? Well, relative density disequilibrium causes acceleration. It causes a force. If an object is not in equilibrium with its surrounding and it can move freely, it will, if in this equilibrium, try to find its equilibrium point through displacement, and that displacement will be in the form of an acceleration. And that is where the force actually comes into play.
That's an excellent description. Your most concise to date. Excellent. Very good, Arwen.
Facts. Yeah. That makes plenty of sense. So what about like tides and stuff? From my knowledge, when we have waves and tides, that's caused from the.
Can I just add
from
something
Hold on,
to what
Chocolate.
Arwen was telling you?
You can, but just let him get to the end of his question. Go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Tactic.
but it's loud here.
So tides, they're apparently caused by the moon pulling them, right?
Yeah.
No. Gravity's not a force. It's not pulling anything.
Right. And even if it were, is the moon an object to be pulling onto the water in the first place?
So many questions.
Indeed.
Well, there's no. The most important thing is that's a cause and effect question, and cause and effect questions are adjudicated by the scientific method via experiment.
Right.
Do
you have an experiment that validates that the moon is causing the tides?
Yeah, the claim. Exactly.
Hold on, Owen. He might not understand the relevance of that question, but
Do I have an experiment? No, I don't. I actually don't.
And neither
man.
do they.
That's
and
the
neither
point.
do they.
Yeah.
That's the point.
That's the main point, Tactic. So they don't have any experimental validity being offered to this assertion that the moon is somehow pulling the tides along. I can't give you an explanation for the cause of the tides, but their explanation falls outside of scientific validity. That's the point.
I had a theory for it, though.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Okay.
here we go. Someone's got a theory. Is this a Mystic Meg theory?
Oh, he's got a theory. Post the experiment.
Hold on. Let's get it clear. Is this a Mystic Meg theory or a scientific theory?
More of a thought theory.
Mystic Meg. Go ahead, Flatsoid. Chocolate, I know you're waiting. My bad.
Now, I was speaking to Owen the other day, saying, don't you think water currents and things would actually cause tides?
Maybe.
Tides, you say?
Well,
You mean what causes the tides?
This is some beautiful speculation. Did you have something more relevant, Chocolate?
No, the only thing I was going to tell the guy is that this story about gravity that they give us, right? This force, one day it's a force, and then the next day it's the bending of a concept. The only reason they're giving us this story is so that they have a reason to tell us what's going on in the sky, right? They tell you that the same force, the same things that are causing your pen to fall to the floor, are the same reasons why things are orbiting around in the sky above you, right? It's just nonsense so that you can relate what's going on here to what's going on up there, right? But like it has been said, they have no scientific evidence for any of this. That's really the point.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand, really, is that if they really wanted to show cause and effect, wouldn't they try and create like some really dense, I don't know, like a sphere or ball or a block of, super dense material, with all the technology they have, and do experiments with that to show it bending space-time or pulling water or something like that?
Well, trust me, they've tried. Guess why you don't see anything about that, though? Because it didn't work.
Well, they don't.
Because it all failed. They didn't get.
Well, let's just start it. If they're talking about the bending of a concept as the medium that this is going to take place in, where's the experiment? Let's just use their vernacular loosely as they do. Where's this experiment going to take place exactly? If it's the bending of a conceptual medium that's giving you the non-force force that you can think of as a force but isn't actually a force called gravity, where are we going to do this if the medium is space-time?
I don't know, some particle gravitational collider thingy that also causes mini tides in a reactor with neutrinos. I don't know what they'll come up with.
That's not space-time, is it?
Yo,
hold on.
Wait, you gotta say.
That's not space-time.
You said non-force force. What?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Say it again, Nathan. Say it again.
The non-force, a force that you can think of as a force, but is not actually a force, called gravity, given rise to by the bending of a conceptual medium known as space-time. Now, given that the conceptual medium of space-time is where we'd need to get this scientific validity from, where are we going to be doing this, given that space-time is conceptual? I'm thinking maybe Narnia would be a good choice to do it in. Should we do it in Narnia? Equally valid as space-time? Yeah, space-time isn't a place we can do anything in. So how are we going to lend validity to anything that's taking place in a conceptual medium? Answer, we won't. Gravity's a farce.
Hey, ask the new gentleman. Also, let's just destroy the entire heliocentric spinning ball space monkey religion right at its core, right? How do you have gas pressure without a container?
Ooh.
According to my knowledge, that's not possible. So what is that referring to?
Well, the thing is that they tell you when you go outside and you look up that you're surrounded by a vacuum, right? But you just answered the question. You can't have gas pressure without a container. You also can't have a vacuum without a container. They tell you you go outside and it's the complete opposite. It's a violation of natural law.
So you're referring to basically you're referring to our atmosphere being right next to the vacuum itself, which is known as outer space.
Exactly.
That actually
and they claim that gravity keeps it there.
Yeah. Because according to what gravity is, you're right. Gravity is supposed to be keeping us plus the atmosphere and everything intact with the Earth itself, the ball. That's
like you just went through.
No.
It's a concept.
No,
right?
We just covered
there's
that.
a big problem with
hold on. It's okay. I appreciate that you're new here, so we're being particularly gentle with you. No, it's not supposed to be holding the atmosphere on. That's not part of gas law. That's not what gas does. And also, gravity is not a force. So it's not holding gas on. It's just a violation of a natural law known as the second law of thermodynamics. So in terms of, we covered this a couple of days ago, gas law, it requires a volume for the gas to be in to calculate it. Well, that volume, in the case of the sphere world in a vacuum known as outer space, the volume would be all of space. But the gas, according to the religion of a sphere world, is just magically sticking to the side of a ball, not because of gravity, because gravity doesn't do that. It just is doing that. Just violating a natural law, as you do.
Even if gravity did exist, it would have no effect on entropy or gas pressure.
Right. According to their own presupposed calculations about gravity, about all the forces out there, gravity is supposed to be a weak force. If you're even going to accept that it is an actual force, which would be false. But if you accept that it would be, it's considered a weak force. Well, the force behind gas pressure expansion within a container is actually considered one of the strongest forces measured. And you can test it for yourself. Just like have a vacuum chamber and open it up, and bang, it's going to displace very powerfully so, sometimes with the shock wave. So how is that presupposed weak force of gravity even going to theoretically keep the gas from expanding with explosive power into outer space?
And also remember, at the same time, the Earth, the spinning ball Earth, is rotating on its axis at 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, while moving around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour. Okay? Chasing the sun around almost at 500,000 miles per hour? So all of that is happening in the middle of a vacuum, and this little blue marble in the middle of it is maintaining its atmosphere, and we're all breathing. It's magic, my friend. It's just magic.
When you think about it, that really does sound preposterous to me. One of the things that got me thinking was I was thinking about that outer layer, right? Like the last outer layer. What's stopping that vacuum from just pulling in that outer layer of gas? I don't understand if it's not.
Well, that's usually our question to the guys who believe in the ball.
Hold on. One or the other. Chocolate or Arwin, I don't care who.
Sorry. It's just that vacuum doesn't pull. It's actually the gas that pushes into the lower pressure zone. We think a vacuum cleaner pulls air in because it creates a lower pressure in relation to the nozzle, and that then displaces the air surrounding it into the vacuum cleaner. But a vacuum technically isn't something that does anything. It's always going to be the gas that expands within the lower pressure zone.
You want to ask your question again, Tactic?
Gotcha. Yeah. Basically, this was the thing that I had problems understanding, and I guess you guys explained it to me. So, when it comes down to our atmosphere, being that it is gas, that outer layer out there, I did wonder how did that outer layer, how is it possible that it didn't just expand into the vacuum, and then it just suck out all of our atmosphere and our breathing air. I looked on a podcast. I watched Joe Rogan a lot, and there was an interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And on that interview, Joe Rogan, he asked Neil deGrasse Tyson about gravity. This was probably maybe 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, something like that. And on his interview, this so happened to be the second time he interviewed Neil deGrasse Tyson, and the second time he asked about gravity. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, he seemed to be uneasy, and Joe Rogan picked up on it when he was trying to explain it to him. And he said, you seem to be uneasy about this. Why are you getting rattled up? And I was like looking at it, and I was like, man, something seems a little bit off. I thought that, it comes down to like astrophysicists or scientists. They're supposed to be happy about questions. And I was wondering, and then his explanation of gravity. On, bro, so that's what I guess that's the main thing that catapulted my desire to learn more about this, because it seems to be a lot of holes in it.
Oh, that is music to my ears. let me get it straight. Joe Rogan has sent you on a path that's made your way to a flat earth debate forum. That is epic. But your question specifically was about, I can't remember if you phrased it slightly differently the second time. You said, how can it be not expanding into the lower pressure system if there's nothing to press on? Correct?
Right. Since according, what's his name? Arwin?
Yeah.
You said that it's pulling force.
Yeah, it's
so
pushing.
I tried to rephrase that and say, why didn't it expand into the vacuum?
Oh, it would. Rapidly.
Why doesn't it expand?
No, it would.
Why would
what this does is it debunks the notion that the sky is a vacuum. Outer space is fake for this reason, because the gas would fill the space. Space is fake. Sorry to break it to you like this.
Yes. And
So-
to expand a little,
No,
there
hold on
is
a
a lot of...
second.
Oh,
Hold
sorry,
on a
go.
second. Hold on, wait one. They say that there is a vacuum surrounding us.
Right.
We know that it's not. So that's all we have to prove, that it's not. What is it? Who knows? But we definitely know it's not a vacuum. And so say goodbye to the heliocentric spinning
You don't
ball.
actually
Indeed.
know that, John.
Indeed. So if I may expand on that now, there can be quite a lot of room up there, although not with the astronomical amounts that are being presumed by the heliocentric model. But there can be quite a lot of vast amount of room up there, and whatever would be there would be part of the entire pressure gradient of the confine, which is what happens for some reason because of relative density, presumably. But there's not
Could I
going to be
ask-
any type
could
of
I ask-
vacuum anywhere. And there has
You
to
can
be
interrupt one more
some kind
time,
of
Brenda,
physical
then I'll kick
barrier
you
at
out.
some point.
How about that? Interrupt him again, Brenda, and you leave.
Oh, God.
I'd like to ask a question, please.
I'd like you to shut up till Arwen's finished. It seems interesting that we get very seldom fundies come here, yet when we get a nice, amiable chap who's just asking questions about the world he lives in, suddenly Brenda makes an appearance to interrupt Arwen. What a shock. Don't interrupt him again, Brenda.
Right.
So again, what is up there way beyond our sight? Because sight has a kind of a range limitation built in. Optics is very complex as a side subject. It's a side matter. But it's kind of mysterious as to how things really work up there. We don't know a lot about it. There's a point after which helium balloons will simply not be able to rise any further, and they will keep stuck and then break. Because people have been sending balloons up to see what is up there, to try and see some kind of curvature or the lack thereof. But we don't really know what's way beyond that point. Now, people within NASA might know a little bit more, but yeah, they're just sticking to their own stories.
With the balloons you were talking about, what do they get? Like, what type of information or data do they get from the balloons that they send
Video
up?
footage, temperature, pressure, that kind of thing.
Not
Oh,
curvature.
okay.
Curvature
Yeah,
is...
no curvature.
Well, only because it's a reification of the horizon, so the horizon is not the leading edge of a sphere. When they say, oh, we're looking for curvature, no, they're just looking at the horizon, and the horizon is a not actual location, a bit like gravity is a not actual force. Shout out to Dave Rakia Gafford, who says, Rakia, life is growing, Wizards past creator is real, all glory to God. Massive thank you to David Rakia Gafford for hitting the super chat, really appreciate your support. Go on,
Can
Brenda.
I ask my...
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, have you figured out what a mole is and what mass is?
No, unfortunately not.
No. You don't know what...
No, what's mass?
Have you figured it out, Brenda?
Mass is the resistance. Yes, I have. So mass is a resistance. It's inertia. It's the resistance to acceleration, right? And a mole is the number of atoms in an equivalent substance to 12 grams of...
Sound like you don't know what you're talking about. You said mass is inertia. What happened there?
Yes,
No,
I asked you what
resistance
mass
inertia.
was, and you've just detailed what a mole is and what inertia is. So what's mass?
Yeah, a mass is the resistance to acceleration.
That's inertia. You just told me that was inertia.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So that's not a mass then. That's inertia then.
Yeah, they're nearly equivalent.
Excuse me, nearly
mass
equivalent.
known as inertia then.
Nearly equivalent. I asked you what mass was. You've described inertia and detailed what that is, then detailed what a mole is, then said that they're nearly equivalent. What the hell does nearly equivalent mean? What's mass?
No, I didn't say a mole and mass are.
Sorry, what's mass?
The amount of substance in a material.
That's a mole.
No.
Yes, that is a mole. Didn't you come here asserting that I didn't know what mole was? When you said you don't know what mole and mass is? No, I don't know what mass is. I know what a mole is. That's a mole.
No, a mole is a number. It's the equivalent number to the same number of atoms in 12 grams of carbon.
And that's even wrong.
Yeah, that's not true anymore. That's about 6 months out of date.
Quantity.
Sorry, did you know that was about 6 months out of date?
You're
talking through me,
You're
Brenda. Brenda, you seem to be talking through me. Did you realise that that's not the definition of a mole anymore?
Go ahead.
Ask it again. Did you know that that is no longer the definition of a mole or not?
A mole is
Don't
the
repeat
number
it.
of fundamental units, the same number as there are in exactly 12 grams of carbon-12.
Wrong.
Is
That
this
is
no
not the current definition. I'm asking if you were unaware of that, and it seems the answer is yes. The person coming here to assert that I don't know what mole is doesn't know what mole is. Brenda, that's not the correct terminology for the current description of a mole. It changed very recently. It seems you are unaware of this, Brenda. The person coming here to tell me that I don't know what mole is, and the person who is yet to define what mass is.
That's fine. Go ahead and correct me and tell me what the correct definition of a mole is, please.
Avogadro's number of elementary entities.
Right. And how many? So Avogadro's number is 6.022 or 10 to the 23rd atoms, right? That's Avogadro's number.
Atoms, not atoms. I said elementary entities.
Yeah, atom.
No.
Not atoms. Elementary entities, not atoms.
Yeah, I know. That's the same thing.
No,
yeah,
it's
you know.
not.
Then
Are
why
you
did you just say atom again?
Dumbo, it seems pretty clear that you don't know what mole it is. You said it was.
Yeah,
you said it was in relation to carbon C12. Now we seem to be segueing away from that old description of mole, don't we? So is it not that thing that you asserted earlier?
They're the same thing.
No, they're not. The definitions recently changed from what you gave to what you're now discussing with John. Now, do I know this description off the top of my head? I'll confess my ignorance. No, I don't. I don't know how many molecules of C12 it would be compared to, and I don't know how to detail the current description of mole. What I do know is it's the amount of stuff in something. Something that's often described as being mass. So mole is not mass. Equally, it's not inertia, but you came in asserting that I don't know what either of these things are. You then described what inertia was, what a mole was incorrectly, and you didn't tell us what mass is.
Yeah, you still don't know what you're talking about.
Sorry, is this the last hurrah globehead defense of you just don't understand? It would seem so. Is that the end of your argument and an adequate demonstration that you do not know what mole is?
How many atoms?
Why are you asking me something? You've come here to claim I don't understand something. Then you've had your ass handed to you and you're still yet to describe and define what mass is.
how many atoms are in
Why are you asking me something? What is mass?
resistance to acceleration?
That's inertia.
Sure, yes, they're related.
They're not related. That's called an equivocation. Do you understand what an equivocation is?
No, they're just different words.
Do you understand what an equivocation is? Silence from the person coming here to tell me I don't understand things. I'll take that as a no. I have no slightest clue what an equivocation is. The very thing I'm doing by saying something is the same as something else that has the same description and explanation and definition. This is called an equivocation. It is not inertia, because inertia is inertia, Brenda. What's mass?
Inertia isn't a thing.
Oh, what? So why has it got a definition? It's not a thing. What are you talking about? You've just defined it for us.
Did you throw it down the memory
Inertia's-
hole, Brenda? Doesn't exist anymore. now.
Inertia is not a thing.
Not a thing. Why has it got a definition then, you stupid bonehead?
Mass is a thing.
Mass is a thing. Inertia isn't, even though you've given me a definition of inertia and not one for mass.
Is that the official definition? Mass is a thing? Great. Thanks.
Yeah, mass is a substance. It's a substance.
What substance is it?
So when do you want to? So when do you want to debate? Nick?
We are debating. We're handing you your own ass.
Wow,
Shout out.
Brenda, you are off the chain.
Shout out to Unidella. Is that right? I probably said that incorrectly. Brenda Einhorn Finkel, not very smart BTW.
Einhorn. Why don't you just stick with your shoe?
So when do you want to debate? Nick?
We are debating. This is your also crap end hurrah. When you've had your ass handed to you, ask us when we'd like to debate you. You came here claiming I didn't understand what mole was. Now, coincidentally, someone else had a massive, long tirade at me about what mole was yesterday in the Flat Earth Uncut and After Show chat. So there's obviously some relation to this. I don't know what it is. I'm sure I'll find out eventually. But it seems you've come here now, you're talking through me, to tell me I don't know what mole is. Now, the reason we talk about mole here is because it's often equivocated with mass.
No, nobody does that.
What's mass?
Except for
What's mass? £10 gives a guaranteed bet that she will either give me the definition of inertia or give me the incorrect, old, outdated definition of mole when I ask her what mass is. So I'll try again. Let's see how she gets on. What's mass?
the quantitative measure of
Got half a sentence. The quantitative measure of like pulling teeth. Clear enough when she's not got a crap
I
point to
answered
make.
you.
Now she's talking through me, of course. Clear as crystal when she needs to rumpus, loses all control of her mic when she's actually got to summarise her own point that we've just debated about. What's
It's
mass?
because you have your
Oh, now it's going to move on to ad homs. An inconcise, cut-off definition of mass, then on to the ad homs. Try to concisely summarise what mass is, Brenda. 20th time I've asked.
yes, it's the quantitative measure of inertia. That's what mass is.
That's inertia. Quantitative measure of inertia would be inertia.
Inertia is a property. It's not a substance.
Sorry, I'm not asking
So you
about
said
inertia,
inertia wasn't a
dipshit.
thing.
You complete bonehead. Why are you suddenly segueing into what inertia is? I don't want you to define inertia. I want you to define mass.
She said
Mass
she
is
said inertia
defined
wasn't a
in
thing
terms
before.
of inertia.
Two people spoke at once.
Brenda, is inertia a thing? Because before, like 2 minutes ago, you said it wasn't a thing. So now, is it a thing? What's going on?
It's not. Inertia is not a thing.
Why
Oh, it's not a thing.
Why'd you keep defining it then? So it won't be a thing until it's a subset of mass, then it will be a thing because it's a subset derivative of mass, right? So then it'll be a thing.
So if you had this set up properly so that we could actually talk instead of you having speaker priority, that would be better. Or invite me in.
Oh, would it now? Oh, would it? Oh, that's such a shame that you don't get to make your crap points through me.
You wouldn't be so frustrated. You wouldn't be so frustrated.
Frustrated with people talking through me without me being able to control them on my own show. What, you think that you should have control of the show, do you, Brenda?
So Nathan.
So that didn't get an answer. With that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you tuned in live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 Premiering stream for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to stay tuned if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
So do you think it'd be more reasonable if you ran my show then, Brenda? Oh, they're all being moved to the after show. Do you think it'd be more reasonable if you ran my show then, Brenda? No answer again. Shock horror.
You don't have priority speaker.
I am this show. It's my show. I don't have priority. Yeah, I do. I absolutely have priority. It's my show.
Yeah, I would like to debate you somewhere where we can be equal. And
oh, really? I'd like you to give me £1 million. Those are my terms. Give me £1 million and I'll debate you wherever you like. Now you give me your terms.
I can't hear half of what you're saying, Nathan, because
Try
of how
not
you have
talking.
it set up here.
Try not talking when I'm talking. There's nothing wrong with the setup.
That's not true. In the Discord, we can't hear half of your sentences.
That's not true.
No, it is absolutely true.
I proved it twice when Chris claimed this utter horse crap about 3 days ago. I got one of my moderators, Righteous Force, to go in and open his mic in both Hangouts, demonstrating admirably there was next to no delay and crystal clear sound. It seems that when you want it to be all cut up and delayed, it will be. But when I'm talking or Arwin's talking, you'll be clear as crystal talking through him. Right? There's nothing wrong with my audio. It has been tested. Yet while I'm clarifying there's nothing wrong with my audio, we can hear Brenda talking through me, can't we? No audio issues when I'm talking.
A bully boy, settle down.
A bully boy? So what,
Brenda,
you want to interrupt to give me ad homs? I will do as I choose on my show. Having debated you here because you have free access to my show to come in and challenge anything I say, that's not good enough. You not only want to be able to come in and challenge what I say with your utter horse crap incorrect definitions of mole, you also want to be able to go somewhere where you can control the audio and talk through my every demolition of your crap claim. No, I give you the opportunity to come here and challenge me if you want to. Do I want to go and debate you? No, I couldn't give a crap about you, Brenda. You have absolutely no sway, weight, or any negotiating tokens with me whatsoever. So what is it that I should do to come and appease you? Oh, I don't want to, Brenda. I have no desire at all to appease your desires. Do you understand?
But Flat Earth is...
But I don't care what you want. If you want to debate me, you can, as you are. I have absolutely no desire to debate you and couldn't care less if you were here or not. The fact that you desire me is irrelevant. You keep your desires for me, Brenda. You're not alone.
You're just a bully boy.
I'm not bullying you. I'm telling you you can sod off unless your desire is to talk to me, as it clearly is. I don't care about your desires being for me to go and debate you somewhere else. I don't care. But your desires have led you here, haven't they, Brenda? To moan at me and call me a bully. Yeah? Well, you can keep your desires, because your desires are in my direction and not the other way round.
My
Brendan,
desire
nobody
is
wants
to
to hear
debate
you. Nobody
you
cares about
or
you.
quantum eraser. I'll debate quantum eraser also, and I'll destroy
He's here now. He's here right now.
Like that kid
both
destroyed
you
you?
and Nathan.
Kind of like that
I will
kid
destroy
destroyed
you in a debate.
We are in a debate.
On a neutral platform, I will humiliate and embarrass you.
Yeah, what,
No,
you're here now.
no, you won't.
What have you got? You're here
Somebody
now,
ate their
and we
weed
don't
today.
care. You're here now.
On a
What have you
neutral
got?
platform, I can humiliate and embarrass.
Yeah, we've heard it 3
With what?
times. We keep opening
what?
up the mic for you to actually deliver some demolishing point of ours, and you haven't. You're just saying, I'd demolish you somewhere else. You're here and can be heard. You're just not demolishing us.
Well, that's because you are allowed to bully me.
Brenda,
You're
Brenda,
a
if you
bully boy
wanted to
and you
debate,
interrupt.
why did you come here and have this whole thing about mass and mole and all of that? But now that you got destroyed on it, now you want to go somewhere else. I'm not understanding. That should have been the first thing
You
you
didn't
said.
destroy me.
Yeah, you didn't define mass. You still
Yeah,
haven't.
but you didn't
I'll ask
define
you
anything
again.
correctly.
She's saying she's not been destroyed.
Oh,
Define
you were
mass.
destroyed, by the way.
Define mass.
You're just too deluded
Quantum
to
eraser.
understand it.
Quantum, you're a moron. You don't know anything about physics. You don't know anything about it.
Define debate.
Right? You just read from a script, and I would destroy you in a neutral debate.
What's a neutral debate, Brenda?
Exterminate!
What's a
Exterminate!
neutral debate?
A place where there is a moderator who is fair.
So if I was to give you a minute apiece and tell everyone else to shut their mouths, I didn't interrupt, would that be fair?
No, because you control volume and mute buttons. So
Both
no,
equal volume.
I would need,
won't mute you.
in a
I'll give you a
formal
minute
debate.
apiece.
In a formal debate with a neutral moderator, I could easily destroy you, Nathan.
Okay.
You and
you just said quantum eraser.
and Arwen and Chocolate.
Yeah, we've
Saya
heard it
and all
4
the
times.
other
That's the 4th
imbeciles
repetition.
that you've
We heard
assembled
it.
around you.
That's
I
4
never
times.
used the mute button on you on
4
my
times
show,
I've heard
Brenda.
it. Quantum eraser is here right now, and it is within. I haven't finished talking, Brenda. It's within my capabilities to give you both equal time without interruption.
Not
Yes or no?
debating that friggin' clown.
Man, why not? You're here.
Brenda, you've been on my show 2 or 3 times now, speaking live, and I don't have muting capabilities on you. I've never muted you, yet you haven't really destroyed anything.
That's
So
because
far.
I'm polite to you in your channel, Arwen.
Right. So you're not being muted.
And you have muted and booted me when you got
All
upset
this time we've
when
been
I
talking
described
about it, you could have just had your little
physics.
debate.
No worries. No worries.
When I
What I'm
describe
gonna do,
basic physics
Brenda,
to you,
Brenda,
you get upset and you kick me.
Brenda, I don't need to hear the ad homs. What I'm going to do, Brenda, is I'm going to go back into the live stream room. You feel free to join me there if you want to. And everyone else will be on mute. You'll get a minute apiece. I'll give you 5 minutes to decide whether or not you want this opportunity to debate QE.
I'm not debating that freaking clown. No way.
No, you're going on mute.
No,
No
hopefully.
chance. No chance. I am not debating Elmer Fudd. Sorry.
No, you don't have to. Just leave it to Nathan.
You can cry harder. You can cry harder, little boy. You don't know anything about physics, quantum. You know nothing about. All you do is recite a script. So mass is a measure of a substance resistance to acceleration called inertia. So it's a measure of the inertial resistance of a substance. That's what mass is. A mole is a unit measure of the amount of substance in a particular, like say carbon, right? It's Avogadro's number of any particular fundamental unit, which is an atom, right? So if I have a mole of ammonia, 10 to the 23rd atoms, of that substance. And it's not new. It's the same thing as it's always been.
Okay, there's your full minute. So pretty much exactly the same claim. Go ahead, QE. Feel free to respond, or we'll have a minute of silence if you refuse.
Claim? I don't know.
Not
Was
you.
very
Arwin.
elaborate painting
Arwin,
of
please, Arwin, for the love of God.
Oh,
Either
okay.
there's going to be a minute of silence with QE absconding from responding to her claim about mass and inertia and mole, or there won't be.
She just repeated the same thing that she said when she came in. She conflated mass with inertia, and she got the definition of the mole wrong. So what is there to debate? It's already over. She's a clown. She thinks DNA is made of amino acids and shoes are natural phenomena. I'm not debating retards. Sorry. Thanks.
Yeah, I got the definition of DNA incorrect. You're right that I was made a mistake there. I correct my mistakes. You
Sorry, he gave you a rebuttal in response to your.
He didn't rebut. He just denied.
I was in the middle of talking, Brenda. He gave you a rebuttal. It was the same rebuttal I gave. It's an equivocation fallacy. You're going to address that? You've got a minute. Go ahead.
He didn't rebut. He simply plugged his ears and said, "Nuh-uh." A mole is defined as the number of atoms to be found in 12 grams of carbon-14, which happens to be Avogadro's number, which is 6.022 times 10 to the 23rd atoms. It's the same thing.
"30 seconds.
I simply rebutted his claim. The number of atoms, a mole is defined as Avogadro's number of basic units, which is an atom, within any sample, right? And as it turns out, within 12 grams of carbon-12, there's an Avogadro's number of atoms. It's the same thing.
Okay. It's exactly the same repetition of the exact same claim that's been rebutted.
The prosecution rests.
Anything you want to add?
I just don't get it why she keeps on repeating the same thing when there's clearly errors in there. I just don't get it.
Looks like this is the end.
Measure of the
Oh,
inertia.
so she was talking through that entire time. So she said she wanted a neutral platform. That was QE's minute. She was talking through it, of course. Why wouldn't she be? She wants a neutral platform so she can talk through every single word that's being rebutted. We're drawing up a conclusion, Brenda, while you continued talking in someone else's minute. I opened the mic on your line and you were in the middle of a sentence for some reason. Not listening to the rebuttal, it would seem. What a shock. This is what your version of a neutral platform was. I was very neutral. I kept things very even. That was not your time to talk, but you continued talking rather than listening to the rebuttal, didn't you, Brenda?
This isn't how a neutral...
Don't tell me what this is or isn't. You were talking through someone else's rebuttal. Someone else was getting a minute to speak. You carried on talking. I made it clear what the rules were. You couldn't cope with the rules of a fair discussion. You had to keep talking. You weren't listening to his response.
Go ahead and spurg out, bully boy.
Yeah, now it's time to ad hom the moderator. I gave you a minute apiece. I was very, very clear about what the rules would be. No one else would interrupt. I stopped Arwin from interrupting you very early on. Gave you a minute apiece. And in the final minute, where Quantum Eraser could have just left silence, you talked. You don't need a reasonable and fair platform. You need a platform where you can talk when someone else is getting their time to talk, as you just demonstrated. Now you're going to claim I'm bullying you simply for pointing out what you've done.
No, you're controlling a...
I was just controlling who got a minute each. That's all I was doing.
Yeah, so Quantum Eraser failed to address my points. All he did was whinge about my making a mistake about DNA and him misunderstanding the philosophical
Something's gone wrong with Discord.
Yeah, where's quantum erasure?
Right here.
Huey, where are you, little boy? Come on, come out, little boy.
What
I'm with
for?
your sister.
What for? He's already taken a piece as your assertion.
He has nothing to say. He has nothing to say.
Concluded. You weren't listening, you were talking. I've just pointed that out to the audience, and maybe you weren't listening to me. While he was concluding, you were talking. That's why you think he hasn't made a point. Now you're going to start talking through me, aren't you, Brenda? While I point out again that you didn't hear his conclusion, because you were talking. Not in your minute. No. Not in your minute. The fair minute. The minute that you got. Now you're talking through me again. You didn't stop talking in someone else's minute. You continued talking. Therefore, you did not hear the conclusion you're claiming didn't come. It did. You were just incapable of listening.
QE hasn't said anything.
Yeah, he did. You just didn't listen, you bonehead. You continued to talk.
You have it set up so that you have...
I gave you a minute apiece. During someone else's minute, you continued talking.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah, you do, you lying cow. You hear perfectly clearly. We know Discord works well. Chris tried that crap the other day. Your only rebuttals is the "you don't understand" number one most abused tactic by fundies who are losing their argument for a sphere Earth. You don't understand. Or next refuge would be "I've got technical difficulties. I'm going through a tunnel because suddenly it's 1989 and everyone's got analog connections."
Oh, what a clown.
So when... Hello? Are you there?
Yeah, there's about 24 people on a broadcast that's being recorded. So, why are you asking if anybody's here? You're in a room full of people.
Because you're not talking.
We're concluding statements and then there's a long pause.
John hasn't said anything.
You've just repeated that 4 times. He has. I'll say it again. You didn't hear the conclusion because during the minute that you should have been listening, you were talking. The very person bleating about how fairness is needed. I arranged for you to get a minute each to talk. You continued in someone else's minute and are now claiming he didn't say anything. No, you didn't listen. The 3rd or 4th time I've said that.
All he did was complain about a mistake I made about DNA.
No, then there was a further rebuttal, which you talked through.
Go ahead.
You don't need to give me permission. You need to acknowledge what I've said. You didn't hear the conclusion because you continued to talk during an allotted time for someone else. So you didn't hear the conclusion. Now let's see if there's a long pause and 0 acknowledgement of that statement that I've just made.
You didn't say anything just now.
So how did you know to respond by telling me that I didn't say anything? And absolutely, this is horseshit. Bye, Brenda. That's the last straw, you stupid idiot.
She needs to be institutionalized, man.
Yeah, she's nuts. She's basically nuts. She's driving us nuts. That's her purpose in being here, because we had a reasonable conversation with that dude earlier, so she's come in to just talk shit. Chew out the show with shit, rather than watching a reasonable dude, normie, non-fundy guy come in and go, "What the hell, man? Wouldn't the gas just fill the space?" Now, wasn't that beautiful? Hearing a normie ask that question made my day. just had to be ruined by Brenda to distract away from these lovely moments we have with normies, who do come when there's prolonged periods of non-fundies not rumpusing the crap out of every point. But Brenda had to come here to tell me I didn't understand mol, and then give us an old definition of mol. Oh, the irony.
Yeah. Clown show. Is that gentleman still here?
Probably not. No. Well, that was fun.
Well, he's probably going to look into flat Earth now.
You want to boot everyone back to the after show?
Oh, did you move them?
I just moved Brenda so that everyone else would be on mute, so she didn't get server rumpused by her own side.
Righteous, you got that? Can you move them?
Yes.
Thank you, Righteous. So yeah, that was nice, wasn't it? That guy at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, that was outstanding. Hope he comes back.
Funny that though, right? We didn't have any distortion microphone problems with that guy, right? But as soon as Brenda came on, all the problems in the world, right? After her little nonsense got destroyed. While it was getting destroyed, she didn't have no problems hearing though. It's adorable.
Going through a tunnel.
Well, I don't know. Like whatever. I think the main game.
They're back. That was fast.
Oh, whoa. Who won?
Unbelievably shoddy.
Hey guys, I have a question. If inertia is not a thing, can I think of it as a thing, or?
That was a weird coincidence. Talking about going up to the 1000th show and me saying, it might be an in-between bit where you have a one-on-one. Of course, didn't necessarily expect you to play ball.
Don't expect me to play ball with clowns. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was fun for you. It was painful.
No, I appreciate that. It is painful.
Hey, did we get... I forgot about the question. Remember I had a question last week? I asked for any astronomer to provide a single viable scientific hypothesis in the entire history of astronomy. Have we got any feedback on that yet?
No.
What about the picture of Pluto?
Not scientific.
Not a hypothesis.
No, there's been no reaction to that at all. There isn't any. It's pseudoscience.
So is inertia on the really is level?
I don't think Brenda's here anymore.
No, just
that was funny. She tried to define it, then 2 minutes later it was like, "Oh, inertia is not a thing."
Yeah.
Right.
I think Brenda's not a thing anymore. I think that's the biggest train wreck of hers up to date.
Did you want
she
to add?
was in poor form today.
Did you want to add? Did you want to add something, Bev? Is it Bev? Try thinking.
Yeah.
Hey, Bev.
Hey.
That's my boy Bev. What's up, Bev?
The way I've been studying people and things at the minute, and my argument with them is very, very simple, and it was very, very simple from the point that Fight the Flat Earth called me a child abuser, because all he knew was the fact that I taught my son that level is on the horizontal plane. So I can't establish anything else other than that at the minute, because I'm just making the point that certain people are willing to call us really bad names for no reason. So level being horizontal is my argument, and they don't like it.
They want it to be
triggers
curved.
them.
They want it
because
to be curved,
there
right?
is literally no way they can get around this.
Correct. So simple.
Yeah, so simple.
I think it's projection, the over-the-top reaction, calling you teaching a fundamental basic principle of geometry to a child as child abuse, is because they have to teach doublespeak and rhetoric and religion to their cult children, and because of which, us pointing out that they're teaching cult rhetoric to their children means they have to project that back onto us. Quick! Tell them they're abusing their children. What's that? They're offering them scientific empiricism? Teaching them the scientific method? Child abuse! They should be teaching them fundy globehead rhetoric. What's wrong with them?
I think the fact that it's that, because I don't know whether you've noticed, but they always try and obfuscate the argument to make it complicated. So like people like my missus would hear that and get turned off and go, "Oh God, I can't stand that. I'm not listening to that." But the level argument is it doesn't involve gravity, it doesn't involve numbers, it doesn't involve anything but simple things that everyone can understand. And in the end, they have to, a concept in their head has to come around that they have to bend a straight line. That's the only way they can get around it. The level argument. Level is a tool for establishing a horizontal line or plane.
Bev, tell them how, instead of actually debating how level is supposed to be curved, tell them how all he was saying the entire time was non-Euclidean geometry.
You can go deep as anything, but I mean, like his basic argument, like the flat Earth argument about getting around it, was that they need a straight line to bend, otherwise they can't wrap level around a ball. A horizontal line, level, is water level. That's a tool for establishing a horizontal line. And then guess what? Sea level. Right, so they need that level to bend. It has to. It's one of them arguments. So he's come up with a concept that in non-Euclidean geometry, straight lines bend. But he still hasn't got the fact that in non-Euclidean geometry, straight lines are still straight. It's the space that bends. So they can't get around it.
You want to know a nice question you can ask him in that regard? Ask him what the name of the geometry he's referring to is. Do you know the name?
Non-Euclidean. That's the beauty of it.
No.
He defines it as something that it's
Stop.
not.
That's not what I mean. So he's saying
right.
Non-Euclidean, so not Euclidean. So what is
that's it. That's it. Yeah, he doesn't know anything else other than that.
Sure, but what is it? What's the name?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing.
So,
he won't define it. I'm telling you, you've never talked about the
right. But I'm leading you to say it. So what is the definition of that geometry?
Yeah, it's not the geometry that he's talking about. You know, it's just literally non-Euclidean geometry is the everybody knows Euclidean geometry. That's the geometry that everybody knows.
I know. I'm asking you what geometry he's using. What's the non-Euclidean?
No, that's his question. That's how he gets around it. That's how he ends me arguing with him, is by saying that I don't know non-Euclidean geometry.
Yeah, so he's taking it to a conceptual medium, but that doesn't. It's just taking things fictional. What's the point?
My question's got lost in that. So I said a question to ask him would be, what is the name of the geometry he's applying? with his fourth dimension that's being bent. What's that called?
Yeah, I have. But then he just says, you don't know what non-Euclidean geometry is. So, you know, like, you can't get anywhere with these people. They have no argument other than to try and confuse the people that are listening.
You want to
There's
finish
only
up
a coherent
that point,
argument coming
I'm
from
never going to
one
get
side.
to it,
Hold on
I
a
don't
second,
think.
Bev.
He's missing
You
my
wanna
point
finish
over and
that
over,
thought,
and
Nathan?
he keeps telling me the same. I'm trying to lead you to a point that you keep walking past, my friend. So I'm saying to him, a good question would be, what is the geometry? And you keep telling me about what it isn't, which is what he's doing. So you're almost obfuscating my point like he did yours. My question is...
What do you mean?
That's all I needed. Thank you. I mean...
No, Nathan, he's saying that Fight the Flat Earth is saying that Fight the Flat Earth is using the Euclidean method.
Oh God, please.
And that the other guy doesn't understand it. That's what he's saying.
I know.
Please let Nathan speak.
So the question that I would have asked him is, okay, if it's non-Euclidean, what is the geometry? And the geometry
What is the non-Euclidean geometry is his question, for God's sake.
Right, now, it's not that I'm asking you to answer. You may not know the answer. That's fine. But as long as there's a gap left, I can then tell you. So that you know how to get him next time. Which is to say, oh, right. So non-Euclidean geometry. So the geometry you are using is, and the words you want to hear pass his lips are, starting with pseudo-Riemannian four space, length, breadth, depth, and time, which he will be bending. Now,
yeah, that's what you'd expect. Yeah, I know that.
Mate.
But like
mate,
I say,
hello. I'm trying to make a point to you. I know you're keen, but I'd love to just make my point.
Go on.
Right. What was the first part of that geometry that I just named?
The pseudo-Riemannian.
Right. Pseudo. What does that mean?
I don't know. Not real.
Not real geometry. He can bend things. Well, in the real, we can't. Flat's flat. That's your point. We got there in the end. Thanks.
Hey, we got another argument in Discordia. So, Blender Chicken, are you there? I see you in here. And I just shared my screen, Nathan. Can we take a look at this? Can you share my screen, please? Hello? Are you out there?
I'm here.
You're sharing, I think.
Yes, we're here. I can hear you.
Nathan.
You're sharing, John.
Where'd Nathan go?
I don't know. Toilet? You're sharing.
All right. Blender Chicken. He wrote this in Discord. Is this shelf flat at the and level or level? So this is old Red's Pretenderic little clown show, right? And we had Kosho. Is Kosho in here? Let me see. Oh, Kosho's in. So Blender Chicken or Kosho, right? We got this photo. Let me pull it up. All right. We're going to open the original. Please. Okay, please. We want to know your argument. Blender Chicken or Kosho, come off mute right now.
They're too scared.
We want the argument to this belly laughing train wreck from the Black Lagoon. Kosho, Blenderized Chicken. I'm off mute right now. If you don't come off mute, either one of you, I'm going to kick you out of here.
Yeah,
10
I
seconds.
think that needs to be a new rule.
10
if
seconds.
The baller cowards ain't, if the baller cowards ain't going to fucking say anything until, after the show has ended.
5 seconds.
Terminate them.
Thank you very much.
I missed all that because of a.
you.
I missed all
Say
that.
again?
I missed all that because of a toddler screaming. What just happened?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, they brought up Red's Pretenderix argument in the live chat, so I'm holding their feet to the fire. Blender Chicken. Bye-bye now. Kosho. Where'd you go? Ah, you little stinker. You left, didn't you?
Suffering success.
Okay, carry on.
Well, to Blender Chicken's defense, he never really talks. He's always just listening and talking in text.
Too bad for him. Hey Nathan, did you miss that argument? They pulled up Red's Pretenderix tilted shelf, talking about flat or level. Friggin' clown show. You got these idiots parroting that nonsense. Anybody? I'll tell you what. Let's bring it up to anyone in Discordia, any baldtard. Can you argue Red's Pretenderix tilted shelf? Hello, essays.
I'm telling you, they're not going to do anything until after the show ends. That way, they don't get humiliated in front of many other people.
Why would it be
It's what they do.
humiliating? Surely they believe the globe is real. Why would it be humiliating to defend something that they believe is real?
Yeah, and surely we're a bunch of idiot, retard flat earthers who have no arguments. So why would they be on mute? Every time they unmute, they should just take us apart. But apparently, they don't want to. What's going on here?
Maybe because we're on the really is level.
Yeah, no one wants to argue on the really is level. They want to really argue on the really isn't level. With that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!